I want to say is it is my understanding that the city of Jacksonville has already voted to cut property taxes this morning. So I think that is a very, very good development. I encourage the city of Jacksonville to do more because obviously property taxes are a very big issue across the state, and I would like to think that we had a little bit of a hand in that, just making sure that people know that we're holding people accountable, elected officials, cities, and counties for excessive spending. So I am very happy that we see that, and I applaud the people who voted to do that. The next thing I want to talk about is something which is probably a little bit more serious. It has come to my attention, and I've been getting information that there are some governments, cities and or counties, not at liberty to say right now, are having some meetings and with the sole purpose of scrubbing the information from public record as we start looking for some of the things that are outlined in our DOGE letters. So specifically getting rid of certain keywords digitally, so this way when you do the searches, it becomes much, much harder to find, okay? I'm going to tell you right now that we will not tolerate any cover-up of any egregious spending or things that are not supposed to be spending according to Florida law. I will tell you that we are going to continue to investigate this, and this is a warning to any local government that tries to hide the spending, try to get scrub the information from government servers, that we will subpoena you, and we will make sure that we get the information. In addition, if we have enough information, we are going to send in the digital forensics team from FDLE and find out who is scrubbing the information, and then we may refer that over for criminal investigation. So this is serious. When we say that we want to make sure that we're rooting out the waste, fraud, and abuse, that is for the benefit of the taxpayer. We will not tolerate any covering up of any information in order to fulfill our mission. So as far as our efforts here in the city of Jacksonville and across the state of Florida, property taxes are a very, very big issue. We have seen an explosion in property values and corresponding property taxes, the same way we saw in the mid-2000s, where local government budgets post-COVID have increased anywhere between 60 to 120%. Now, if you start with a baseline of pre-COVID and you start indexing of what their budget should be around and add population and inflation growth, it is nowhere near almost double from what we are seeing. So our teams are on site today. We're looking for some of the things that they should not be spending on, things that if taxpayers knew that they were being charged for in property tax relief, they would probably not agree with it. So the governor and I have been pushing very hard, as others in the legislature, for property tax relief. The governor and I would love to see us getting rid of property taxes for homesteaded properties. But what we are going to see is a reflexive impulse to attack on from local government to say that they can't cut for a myriad of different reasons. They're going to come out with the parade of horribles and saying that we can't cut property taxes, we can't cut spending because of this reason or that reason. And a lot of times they're going to bring up public safety. Right? And that is just absolutely a scare tactic, because the first role of government is to make sure that we protect its citizens. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we are funding fire and police. If local governments went to zero-based budgeting, the very first things that they should be funding are fire and police, and then start adding on necessary services over that. But what they view as necessary service may not necessarily mean the taxpayers agree with that necessary service. So we are looking forward to shining a light on excessive local government spending, things that directly affect the taxpayer. Home affordability in general is a big issue here in the state of Florida. I will not allow the state of Florida to turn into New York on my watch. with that, any questions, more than happy to take them.
Was there any resolution to the hiccup that we saw the other day with the technology use agreement? I talked to the mayor's office this morning. They said there's no formal resolution, but they've given the team all the files they've requested.
Yeah, that's just proof that they didn't need it in the first place. Look, Florida law is very specific. There are no conditions on us coming in and auditing them and reviewing them and their books for waste, fraud, and abuse. So when they come out and they ask us to sign agreements, or some counties have asked us to sign non-disclosure agreements, this is all public record. This should all be very easily attainable, and we will not stand for anyone putting bureaucratic red tape in front of us for us to do our job, which is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse so we can bring property taxes down in the state of Florida.
That's one heck of an allegation you made. Local governments scrubbing information, public records, deleting keywords, and cover up. What governments are we talking about?
Not at liberty to say right now, but we are investigating that. We have heard from multiple sources that this is happening. We are going to investigate. So my words right here today were sort of like, local governments do not do this, okay? We may investigate it, and we may show that maybe there's some explanation, right? I don't know if it's a good explanation, but that is part of our fact-finding process. We have heard allegations of this from numerous sources, enough where it concerns us in the CFO's office and the DOGE team for us to investigate it.
What kind of sources are you talking about?
People who work inside local governments. And I will tell you that a lot of, I will say this blanketly, there are a lot of, if you ever wonder how we find out to go and what to target, is because there are people inside local governments, people that are government adjacent, are telling us, hey, you should look at X, Y, and Z because A, B, and C is happening. That's how we hone in on that stuff. Any questions?
Any of those governments here in Northeast Florida?
We will, depending on what we find, we will let everyone know.
Is Jacksonville one of them?
We will let people know once we find the information.
CFO, one of the biggest spending items that the city's undertaken lately has been the stadium deal. Is that something that's subject to review under this DOGE effort?
Look, I think a lot of it is subject to review. Some of it is going to be subjective, and then some of it is going to be objective. So we have to separate subjective from objective. And make those decisions. We are going to let people know. So if people already know about the spending, the subsidies, I mean, that is something that's already been in news. I'm sure you guys have reported, so the taxpayer is already privy to that. Where we're looking for is things that maybe the taxpayers are not privy to.
You all were in Pinellas County a few days ago. Pinellas County commissioners responded saying that your numbers were off by some $80 million. Is that correct? And if so, what kind of confidence do you have in your agency? What do you tell people at Jacksonville? Pinellas County commissioners, are they ignorant?
So the DOGE team housed out of the EOGs of the governor's office are the ones that are crunching some of those numbers. All I can tell you is that for my whole career, trying to hold local governments accounting in terms of spending, they've been saying that our numbers have been wrong for years, and we've been proven to be right and accurate mostly. But even if we're off by a couple $1 million, the fact still remains that their budgets have exploded. So, and that's what they should be worried about, not making sure that our information is 100% correct. If it's a 99.9% correct, it's still correct in my eyes.
Should we still call it DOGE, or is it FAFO?
Well, look, I mean, the FAFO has been coined by me to as sort of the unofficial name for DOGE, and it's the fiscal. Florida Agency for Fiscal Oversight. Obviously, there's another connotation.
What is that?
I'm not going to say it on camera, but I think everyone knows. Fool around and find out. Fool around and find out. If you're going to go and you're going to be a local government and you're going to cover things up and try to make it harder for our investigators to find things that they shouldn't be behind, they're going to see the FO part of that.
Can I go back to the question about having access to the city's information technology system? Because the mayor's office is saying you can have it if you agree to sign this one-page agreement form. You said you're not signing any form. So where does it stand? I mean, does that mean
they're getting the information? They're not signing the form. We are not going to sign a form. They're getting the information right now. Our audits and review are not a suggestion. It's outlined by law. There is no negotiation when we come in and we try to protect taxpayers rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse.
So the city's agreeing to let y'all go in to use their
From what I understand, they're in. I just met with the team. I was just with them, and it did not seem like they were standing in the way, which goes to my argument that the administration was wrong for suggesting that we sign that in the first
And
place.
there's something that state law talks about having access subject to security provisions. What does that mean? If they put in that it's subject to security provisions?
Best practices. But it does not say in Florida law that we need to sign a security agreement. We need to make sure that we are withholding best practices.
Mayor said she was going to reach out to you, to your office. Did you guys speak before the office?
Did not get a chance to speak. I understand that you did reach out to my office. Quite frankly, I've just been inundated protecting the taxpayers of the state of Florida. Have not had a chance to have a conversation with her yet.
The school district millage rate's the same as last year. I mean, do you think school districts should be doing more, especially since that's something
Yes.
the state kind of...
Yes,
can
school
provide
districts should
some-
be doing more. Independent districts should be doing more. When it comes to taxpayer dollars and the ability to take taxpayer funds in terms of expanding government, everyone. But let me be clear, holding millage rates the same with an increase of property values is a tax increase. The only way you do not increase taxes if you adopt the rollback rate, which is at the very least what government should be doing. November 26th, the people of the state of Florida are going to have an opportunity to vote for substantial tax relief. My message to local governments is tax relief is coming. My message to taxpayers is tax relief is coming. Local government should get ahead of the curve, cut property taxes now, because they're definitely going to be cutting them later. Guys, thank you for everything.